how was it for you working with a superstar like Megan Fox? How is she? That's the question
Yeah, no, sure.
everybody has.
Absolutely. No, listen, what is amazing is
Hey superstar, you can be proud of yourself. You found this channel because you want more out of your life. Normal is not in your dictionary and you know you can get whatever you dream about. Less talking, more action. My name is Russo, your new success host. Welcome to my podcast, Luxury Problems.
So you've been in all these amazing movies. You just talked about the movie with Megan Fox, where people like, oh my god, Megan Fox. I think people like react to her so because she was more known as that, influencer type of beauty queen, and then ended up in all these amazing movies and being a badass and just like
being a badass.
Exactly. That's how you get not only movie fans that are just like into actors like Denzel and Will Smith. Like you also get like the modern kids that like watch the hypes, watch the news right now. So how was it for you working with a superstar like Megan Fox? How is she? That's the question everybody has.
Absolutely. No, listen, what is amazing is it's very, very interesting. Like sometimes I feel like a fly on the wall because I've been very grateful in my career so far to have worked with many A-listers. And I'm always interested. Like I'm always interested at like that question of what are these people? Who are they? Like how are they when they're not like in the spotlight? And how are they like on a colleague? Exactly.
How is it going down?
And I really do have the world of good to say about Megan. We got to spend a long time together, and it was a difficult shoot because we were in the elements. It was very hectic.
And I just watched the trailer before you came on the IMDb. I'm like,
okay.
Like tigers and lions.
Yes.
What the lions? Right?
It was pretty badass, and a lot of like night shoots and literally like jumping off cliffs and like swimming in rivers. So when you're doing that for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you get to know people.
But it was a home game for you because that's where you're
exactly.
from. So you're familiar with that area.
That territory, exactly. Yeah. But Megan and I, what I love about who she is as a person is that one thing that stuck with me is number one, like seeing Megan at work is she doesn't doubt herself. She's really come into her own in terms of and a lot of the stars that I've worked with, like looking at Miley Cyrus and seeing Morgan Freeman and some of those people, there's just they're not afraid to make a mistake because they know that they are enough. We spoke about this earlier, right?
They learn from it.
And they learn from it, and they're not afraid to make a mistake. So they show up being confident in their skin, and I think that's what often happens with people is sometimes when you try too hard, like you try so freaking hard to be perfect.
You're not natural no more.
You're not natural anymore, and you're not giving your gift to the world, which is you being yourself. And I think that's exactly. You just like having. That's exactly what star quality is for me. It's really knowing, not trying, but living as a star, and that's what Megan has. And beyond that, she's a really deep thinker. Prior to her shooting, she'd done her show where she went all over the world with different ancient cultures.
Oh, wow.
So she's a really deep thinker, and we connected on that level quite a bit, in terms of just history. And she loves her children, and like she really loves her kids, which is awesome. I know it should be the case for every mom, but she really, sometimes who you see in the spotlight and who you get to know, like it was great. She taught me a lot of lessons, and the things I take away from her was be curious, be professional, be comfortable in your skin, and keep moving forward. Yeah.
And also like getting these. I mean, you probably when you were not big yet and you were still like little on little movie sets. You probably saw Megan Fox and she's like that superstar, and then all of a sudden you're there and she's giving you tips about kids and everything.
Yeah,
you're like
what is happening?
Using your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was kind of crazy, because I remember the first day that we started filming, we had a bit of like a boot camp. It was pretty intense, like the action sequences, and I was really amazed at how she took to it. But I was like having a moment of like, what is happening? You know, it was the same with me. Like my first international movie in South Africa was working with Olga Kurilenko from the Ukraine.
Which movie was that?
Momentum. It is Morgan Freeman, James
nice.
Purefoy, and Olga. And Olga and I have some really intense like fighting scenes. And again, like that star quality. She was always willing to go the extra mile. She put in the work. We had to work very hard to get those sequences done, you know. And she put in the extra hours. And she was like, nope, I want to do this right. And I was like, wow, like I learned a lot, like, you know, kind of being right at the start of my career from there. And the lesson I've had to learn as well is, did I say I've had to learn? Wow, I've had to learn as well.
People that watch my story and my channel, they know I'm an immigrant. I like have so much grammatic issues.
you got a badass English, and you speak so many amazing languages. So.
And I was just wondering how you, even when you started our interview, how you pull up like that American accent, because I had a vocal coaching and she quit on me because she was like, I'm gonna just keep it. Because even when I and for those who follow me know, I also do like acting in a commercial way in like little roles. So whenever I try to like pretend that American
By the way, I'm going to interrupt
accent,
you like earlier. There's no such thing as a little role.
that you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But compared next to you, I feel like that.
Nope, I'm not going to buy it. There's no such thing as
I appreciate you for saying that. Absolutely right. I just caught myself saying the wrong thing. No, but I really, when I tried too hard to speak in a certain way that it's not me, it was not natural anymore, and it was not authentic anymore. Like you said, you have to show
you got to find your voice.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to find your American. And I mean, look, we won't go into details, but how many people made careers off the unique voice? Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like own who you are and what you bring to the table. And I think that's the problem. Is you got to find your British, your American, your natural voice, like in the midst of it. And listen, like we're in 2022, like people are embracing the fact that isn't it badass that we've all got like different fonts and accents to our words. I think it's awesome and people are embracing it.
And as kids, people were making fun of it. You remember when you were a kid, like, oh, you look like this, or you're like a fat kid, you're like, your nose is like this.
No, that's why I said
we would have shared our burgers.
Listen, I had one too many burgers, man. Life was good in the good old days.
No, but I feel like that's very important, and just being, own it, as you said, own it. So you have all these, everything that I was like looking up from you, besides a few things that were more like romantic and like deeper. Like you have a lot of action roles that you're playing, right?
I do somehow. How the heck did I keep giving me action roles? What's going on?
I think that's pretty cool. So you feel like people already just cast you based on your past movies that you were doing, and you're just doing such a great job that they keep booking you?
Sometimes. I mean, I think that's part of the process. Look, when I started out, I started working on a show in South Africa that was very successful for many years. It was on the air for over 20 years, like I think almost 25 years it was on the air. Not that I was on it.
Are you even 25 years
No, exactly. No, like, but I didn't work that long on it. But it was my first break because everyone loved the show. It was called Top Billing. And the whole show was about the best of the good life, where you travel, it was fashion, it was like adventure.
That sounds fun.
It was so badass. and I was kind of part of like the equivalent of what a pop idols competition would be, but to be like a presenter in the show. And, you know, in the beginning, South Africa got introduced to me as like the suit and tie guy, the clean cut, like boom, 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 and I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to do this. And I was just getting the good guy roles and all of that. And then I had to sit with myself. And you know, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be typecast. I don't want to be put in a box. And I said to my agent, like, back then, I don't know who the heck I thought I was back then, but I did. But I just said, I'm not gonna do these roles. Like, I want to be the badass. I want to be the baddie. I want to mix this up. And they were like, okay, I don't know, like. But I did it, and
what was the first movie you did with this new type of?
It was actually with the new kind of role was the Morgan Freeman one, the Momentum, where I had to play like a full-on badass and like with action, and I mean it's a part of me, but I'm grateful, like I'm grateful that I've had a wide spectrum. Like up to now, I can fortunately say that I've pretty much done every genre. My first movie though was very dramatic. It was based on a true life story, where I was the leading role, my first leading role. Very dramatic, but beautiful, because in the process of that movie, I gained confidence that it was the first time I believed that I could be a leading man. And it was in theaters all across the world. Lionsgate distributed the movie, and in the process of doing that, it took producers outside of me to see something in me that I didn't. And I love the fact, look, I think obviously my strengths are more on the dramatic side. And now in my career, I'm balancing myself out with a lot more comedy, like our movie. Well, I don't know if I pulled it off, we'll see.
And especially the colonials, like you have your action in there, but I feel like that fun character, like that inner child that we were just talking about, just comes out like even more in that role.
I appreciate that, but like I love it all. Look, I do enjoy that. I think if I think I would have been a soldier maybe in a different kind of time.
Maybe.
So I love I love tapping into the psychology of what it means to be a special forces person or that, because I was surrounded by a lot of them in my life, and I have the utmost respect to people who are in service. And I'm just grateful that, across the world, like with British projects, American projects, and also South Africa, that people have been able to give me that opportunity where I could believably step into those shoes. Not that it comes anywhere near anybody who's really been, part of the service in any way, shape, or form. But I respect that. As an individual, I study that, I respect that. I think it must be very difficult to what you got to do out there on the front lines and then come back home to society, like Absolutely. The freedom that we all enjoy.
Yes, that is so true. Speaking of that, when you did you had a moment where you had a huge loss, but at the same time you gained so much and you win at the same time? Yes,
I believe that things do end up working out for the better. You just don't know it at the time, right? A tough moment for me. It was, Colonials was one of my first projects, but my first project was a project shot in North Carolina. And, it was a really, really tough moment because I'd flown all the way from Africa. I landed on the tarmac at the airport there. I was about to work with a crew and a team that I knew nobody with. And as I switched my phone on, I got the news that my uncle and my aunt, and that aunt was like a second mother to me, were tragically killed in a motorcycle accident 3 days after my niece was born. And in that moment, it was too late. Like there was no chance that I could just turn around on a plane. Like things were like, when they talk about in show business, like where the show must go on, it was one of the toughest challenges of my life because, I don't have that many people in I don't know who my biological father is. So my limits in terms of, my closest family members are very small, like a handful of family members. And like to have two of them so tragically die, like so soon after my niece, I'd literally spoken to them before the flight. And in that moment where they said the show must go on, and I cannot tell you how crazy that was to, we're now very good friends, but they were strangers to me at the time. And the fact that I had a couple of weeks where I had to be one of the leading roles there, and there was just no ways that they could stop production, and the show had to go on. And I remember, this is going to sound crazy, but I remember like being like a robot, like being there doing my thing, but at night, like when I got back to my hotel room or my Airbnb, crying myself to sleep, like it was hardcore because I was just, and I think of that time, and again, it's what we spoke about earlier. It's like the things that there's a gift in death, there's a gift in suffering, if you choose it. And for me, it was the will to be able to say, I asked myself, what did my aunt and uncle want? And they, for so long, for so many years, supported me in my dream to come to America, and I could actually hear their voices saying, stay there, we are so proud of you, So again, I gained strength from that in the sense that, and it was devastating for me, and I'm sure for so many of you during COVID who've lost people, not being able to go to the funeral and having that closure, and like, it was so weird, even watching a ceremony on Zoom, and you feel like alien. Yes. But again, like, it's amazing.
Same experience with my grandma when I was not able to fly to Germany, but in the same time, I just got the message because my family also did not really tell me so much about like how bad she's doing because they knew I was not able to come because of COVID. So they kept it a little bit away, but then I was like, at this point, I was ready just to fly there, no matter if I lose my status here. But then also, like, my grandma also supported me in any kind of way, so it wouldn't have been a good choice to do. So sometimes it's good to, like, pause, listen within, what would they have been thinking about.
And that's what gave me hope. It was just that one seed. Because it becomes so surreal, because with all these people, right, like it's a tragedy for a reason, right, because you have all these ideas, there's so many memories. They were about to come to America, like in a couple of weeks at that point. We're going to do a trip to California. It's just so surreal. There's a finality to it that freaks you out. But then again, you've got to go and find a deeper connection to them in terms of what they stood for and who they are and exactly what they wanted for you. And I believe that has given me fuel. And I think for all of us, right, it's like we are very blessed to have the people in our lives that anybody, like even just one person believing in you can make all the difference. You know what I mean? Just one person seeing you, one person hearing you, one person saying, you know what, you are going to make it. Like you have what it takes. And to build on that is powerful, because in many ways, isn't it amazing? Like as we are in this part of history, we are just building on what people before us have done, and we keep raising that bar, and it's awesome that we get to be part of that process. And after us, there'll be, you know, those taking it further.
And there's always also that family curse that people talk about. There's like this family lineage, and you just keep doing whatever your family was doing, but nobody was getting out of that box. Nobody was reaching for the stars. So it was kind of the same. So there's always this one person in the family that breaks the family curse to get the family to another point where they can enjoy like the things where they were always like suffering from. And you know what helped me a lot, especially with like sadness and grief, when you lose somebody that's very close and dear to you, and you're like they're gone and everything is like nothing makes sense no more. I started to watch a lot of these near-death experiences, people that non-believers but believers in God. They started to share their experience, and everybody shared the same experience, and that helped me to understand we are just energy. That is just our physical body, our tool to function on the world. But our soul will never go away. It's all energy. Energy is not being destroyed. It can be transmuted, but not be destroyed. And that really opened my eyes and made me more like lean back on the thought that
their presence is still there, exactly, you know, and you can, like, it's crazy sometimes, you know, like, you know, there are certain moments where it hits you. Grief is a very interesting process, and don't let anyone ever tell you, we all grieve our own way. And it's funny when it catches you in different phases, and it's small little memories. Birthdays and the holidays are always a tough one.
Especially then.
It's crazy, but also like the small little moments when it's a song and a memory and a place. And I love the fact that it's crazy how you remember certain like words, and you can hear their voices at times where it's just like they are with you, and it's exactly that, right? Like it's exactly, we are more than just our physical bodies. To lean into that who, right? That's not your ego. That's not the noise in your head. That's not all the thoughts. Like we are not what we think. You know what I mean? Like you know, sometimes we get bombarded with thoughts, but it's what we choose to become. You know? And that's why it's important to get quiet, because it's like separating the from
the loud noise from outside with the voice from the inside. I know you're a little bit on a time. You maybe want to check because I don't want to, because I still have some questions, and I can see what is like my priority question.
No, of course.
This man is busy, so I have to like. I'm blessed that he's here.
It's all an act. No, we're good.
What time is it?
I've still got at least another. Let's say 20, maybe 30
awesome.
minutes. Yeah.
That's like awesome. Okay, I just.
If you're not bored yet.
No, I mean I enjoy listening to your stories, and sometimes you know when you click with somebody and you just get so much out of your conversation, you sometimes completely forget the time, and you're like, what? 5 hours?
Right, I get you, man. No, it's awesome. It's really special. I mean, this conversation that we're having, I feel like. It's a conversation that a lot of people are having, like all across the world, especially what we've all been through. Like the world changed. The world changed the last couple of years, and
And so we just talked about like family members, ancestors, people we lost in our lives. So how is it for you? Do you consider yourself as a religious person, or you consider yourself spiritual? For me, it's two totally different
Yeah, me
things.
too. Yeah.
How much importance all that is in your life? Like,
Sure.
do you feel like you need that guidance from God or Buddha or Allah or the universe, whatever it is for you?
Sure. Look, I would say that I dabbled in religion just growing up through convention and just the way that South Africa is structured. But I'm definitely not religious anymore. But I definitely am spiritual, where I believe that we are children of God, and I believe in a relationship with God that is not how we are grown up to believe it is. I think it's bigger than we could ever imagine. And for me, that personal relationship, like having that opportunity to know that I can actually have, and for me, given my background, not knowing my biological father, my special relationship with God is that I believe in God the Father. Not that it's gender driven at all, but like for me,
it's like protective energy.
It's protective energy, and for me, it's like I see my dad. When I pray, I say Dad, because he's like the perfect father that will never let me down. So I definitely, like for me, my spirituality is derived from the fact that I believe that I am a son, even though I kind of grew up like as an orphan in the way that I thought, like in the lack of having a biological dad. And for us, it's many different things. Some of us have dads, but they're not present, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for me, I've seen too much in life to know that like there's a point where we're limited as human beings. And when I look back in my life, I can't, like, yes, we work hard, yes, there's intentions, and yes, we've spoken about choices, but I would be lying to you if I couldn't say that, like, man, like, God brings the opportunities. I can do as much as I can to prepare, but if it wasn't for what I believe is favor and opportunity that comes from beyond yourself, I don't know where I would have been today. I mean, if I think about what my mom and I had to go through when I was a kid, there was protection, man. I've been in many situations where I almost got killed, but I wasn't. And in moments like those...
I remember you told the story with like being in wildlife and just turning their backs, and like 1 second later they would have been killed by lions. We would have been killed
by lions, and I've also almost been stabbed to death in my heart. Like there were lots of moments where no matter how much my rational brain would like to justify what happened, there've just been too many, what I call a miracle. And I'm sure for many of you, there's just, because life is a giant miracle. The fact that we're so fragile in many ways, but the fact that we still function, we still move forward, we still get a little life, there's just too much. Like, I can't believe that, I mean, even just, I'm a person who's very connected to nature. And when things get busy and cloudy and these freaking phones and everything going down, nature grounds me. And I don't know about you, man, but when I look at a sunset, when I look at a sunrise, when I'm out there in nature, you can't, like, man cannot create that. No matter how much we try, theme parks are badass, I enjoy them, but nothing can compare to like the real deal. So for me, it's not conventional religion as the world knows it, but definitely spirituality in the sense that I believe we are spirit, soul, and body. And I do believe that our spirits are eternal, and that our souls are our thoughts and our ego and that, and then we have our bodies, which is temporary. So for me, I don't overcomplicate it. I believe in a personal journey with God, and it's just like I don't want to just lean on my own limited understanding. Like I'm too limited, like in this dimension. And I do the best I can, but I do rely on help. I do. Absolutely. I can't do it by myself.
And it's just so, I mean, that's a topic I could talk with you now for the next 2 days. Because the last 3 years I was really intensely looking at quantum physics and also seeing how everything is connected and how much more is to it, and you start really to question yourself, a lot of questions you never asked yourself before, and just realizing what's really internally going on and what the media is projecting to us, our limited beliefs, the thoughts, everything we get taught in school when we were kids, just in order to fit in and being little functional soldiers. And
that's exactly it. Zombies.
Zombies.
Definitely
that too. Yeah, so that's why I'm fully with you. Same with me with religion. I more likely think so, and that's nothing for very religious people. But I feel religion divides. It's that's how wars are created because I believe in Allah, your God, and then we have a fight. At the end of the day, we are all one, and we all come from the same source, our Creator, and we should definitely make this life joyful and just helping each other and make each other better in a way. And that's always the reason why you meet a certain person in your life.
Right.
And even if it's not the best experience you have, but in that experience you will learn so much about yourself and how the choice, how you react to it.
Right.
Again, like it's always these patterns that repeat in life, and that's how we are shaped over the time.
And I think again, no matter where everybody stands in terms of their beliefs, I think it's important to at least be open, because be open to go and find that. And I think it's a very personal journey, and no one should ever bash you over the head. You know what I mean? To go and seek that for yourself, to go and seek that definition of who the true God is, like in your life. Like I think it's so important to make that choice, to be willing and open to go and pursue that. Not, and sadly, I've been hurt so much through a lot of people in my life that I trusted in terms of that area of my life, and people just use it to manipulate in the name of God, and I'm just grateful that like we all have that ability. Like I believe that we were created in God's image, and I believe that just like children, we have that freedom to go straight to Him without having to do 10,000 rules or whatever. There's power in the fact that you are able to have a conversation, and I believe conversation is two-way. And my big thing is be open to go and explore truth. Like at the end of the day, like what is real truth? And it's beyond just words and ideas, and it's beyond just a book. It's relationship. You can feel it. It's real. Truth resonates differently to whatever is false. And my big thing is like choose to be a seeker of truth. Go and seek truth. And make that personal.
Are you a conspiracy theorist now?
Maybe.
That's a seeker of truth.
A seeker of truth,
whatever you want to call it, but it's just like that deeper understanding and that curiosity, like every kid also has, just finding out, is this really how it goes down, or what do I have to do in order to get to this point? I personally feel that's how it was for me when you like learn so much more about other cultures and having this acceptance is when you travel.
Yeah, man.
Traveling.
I'm so grateful. What a gift, because that has been such a big factor in my life. I've been very lucky and blessed. I've been to 44 countries already, and like from the time I was young. So I've been across different continents, and there's nothing more special to see people like living out who they are, different cultures. I mean, and we're all so different, but we're all the same. I mean, how many people just want to be happy? How many people just want to love their families? How many people just want to make the most out of life? And it's so crazy how we can be prejudiced, like prejudge other people without even stepping in their shoes or being there. And that's why travel is so important, because you really get to see people living their lives and realizing we're not so different after all. And that when you travel, you really get to like appreciate where you come from even more, right?
And you understand others so much better. And then you're like, my ego is like, was way bigger, and now I opened my eyes and I'm just like, I'm important and I'm worthy, yes, but also I'm so little.
Isn't it beautiful? It's the both, right?
Yeah.
Like it's having both, right? We are in this beautiful, massive, gigantic universe, and that's what I'm saying when we talk about spirituality or religion. All I know is that I do not know, that I am limited in my understanding, and that there's literally a whole universe around us all. And I choose to rather tap into that, like an unlimited, limitless world where there's something bigger than me, and I get to be part of that story. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like what you said earlier, right? That we kind of choose to be here in the sense that, you know, we get to kind of take our own paintbrush and add to the gigantic masterpiece, which is history, right? Like we just get to keep adding and paint our own way.
And the real history, like the history that's not been told in school.
Correct. Yes, yeah.
No, that is...
That's beyond just human agenda.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice, yeah.
There's so many things you already done. That's a tough one probably, but do you have a dream or like a inner secret wish, something that you like definitely want to do on this world, but you haven't been doing it yet? Anything you desire?
Something that I want to grow into. I've kind of done parts of it like in different phases and chapters of my life, but and I've said this many times before, but I believe that media and entertainment is a platform for change. So, you know, before I got like full swing into acting and producing, I was doing a lot of community development work, working with orphans, but also with conservation.
Oh, nice.
You know, that's how I started out. And my big thing is being so successful that you are able to sustainably close that circle. And what I mean by that practically is to be able to feed back the spin-off effect of what it means to be in entertainment and have that like literally filtered down to grassroots level organizations like orphans. I'm very passionate about youth education. So my future would be to be successful enough in Hollywood. Not that I'm bashing, I'm very grateful where I am, and I'll mention something in a second. But you know, I want to see that whole circle closing where it's like media and entertainment as a platform for change, where as an actor, as a producer, where those kind of profits filter back to where you can make a change. Not only in a practical way financially,
it's so
but
impactful
exactly.
and noticeable that people already like they see you and they know this man like can change my life just because they look up to you, and also you can give back to the community where
Exactly.
you feel like you like maybe as a kid.
Yeah, a big time, you know. So for me, what I see in my future is definitely working with fatherless children or parentless children, and what I mean by, you know, it's the lack of opportunity. You know, like I love the fact that there's so much power in your worldview. And German is that beautiful word, Weltanschauung, you know, like your
These German words are so long.
They're so huge, man. Oh, and let alone spelling them. But like your worldview is so important. You know, one of the projects I worked with was with children. We call them townships in South Africa, which is in the rural area, and a lot of those children only know, like for them, they are brought up to believe that the world is that, and for all of us, no matter where we come from, there's a bigger world than we think we even know. And if you can just get an opportunity, I believe in empowerment. Like, I don't believe in just giving out fish. Teach a man how to fish. Give a man a fishing rod. Give him his own skill. Like, that to me is empowerment. Like, that's what I want to get into, is to be able to have structured programs where people can start believing in themselves, where you give people worth again. And sometimes that's going to take money, because you got to meet people's basic needs, right? Like, you got to get them food, you got to get them shelter. And then, just like you and I have been very lucky to learn and evolve through our thinking and our thoughts and our opportunities and our choices, sometimes that's all somebody needs, is just like literally an opportunity to get on their own 2 feet. So that's where I see my future. I'd love to be successful enough to continuously doing what I love, but to keep branching out in terms of having a grassroots level impact. That
is a beautiful project to look forward to. I'm very curious and like very happy to see like how you're all developing all this and just following your journey and see this all coming through, because you wanted to be an actor as a kid, so you made it happen.
Hey.
You spoke it out now, so it's definitely going to happen, I have no doubt.
Big time, and this is the first time I'm announcing this. I sadly cannot share the details. I wanted to, I double checked, but like maybe by the time this launches, you know, it'll be news already.
Because
but
there's something big you're working
there's something
on right
massive.
now.
So yeah, I got to say that.
Any details? Any like little?
I'll give you little snippets, but let's just say that 2 weeks ago, before returning to the US from South Africa, pretty much everything that I dreamed of, you know, being able to experience here in the United States, I've booked a massive studio franchise. One of the main characters of one of the world's biggest film directors. Man, I wish I could share what it is, but it is. It's kind of crazy when your dreams and your reality start like coming together, and I couldn't believe it, man. Like I'm just so grateful. Look, I've got quite a journey ahead of me. Like the next couple of months are going to see me training and transforming my body as part of the role. I'm so already.
Like...
Exactly. Hashtag protein. Hashtag put the cookies down. But for me, it's
coffee black, no sugar, no milk.
Exactly. No, she nailed this coffee, by the way. If you ever want a coffee, I would suggest knocking on
Just
the door.
Italian DNA,
yeah.
you know?
Like with you, it's obvious that life's too short for bad coffee. But I'm grateful. The thing is, it's just like I'm taking this moment right now, since returning to the US, to be like, wow, man, like, isn't it worth it? Sometimes the sacrifices seem insurmountable. Like, it's never going to end. And I want to tell you, there's life after death. There's life after suffering. And look, we're never just going to have a straight road. There'll always be different seasons and chapters in life. But right now, it's so awesome to sit back and see fruit of seed sown many years ago.
And you worked hard for it. And
well, so have you.
So much. Yeah.
So have you. I mean, look at where you are.
Where we both sit on this couch on Hollywood Boulevard. You don't know the struggle, because behind the scene, the cleaning, people were cleaning up, and I'm like, the sound is too loud. The sirens on
But then
Hollywood
again, it's life, right?
And it's life, and it happens, and it's okay. And and I personally know already, like, you now get all these big rewards and these big roles and the projects you always wanted to work in, and with the people you wanted to work with. This is happening right now because there is this bigger project that you have, like you just shared with us with the art frame. And that's how you get your reach. That's how you're able to
keep building on what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing is seeing the evolution of intentional effort for all of us, right? Like, I think that really is. I think it's Tony Robbins who said it as well. Is like, progress is happiness. Like, it really is. It's not so much about the destination. For me, I always thought it was, but it's really when you start enjoying the progress and when you feel like you are moving forward in the direction of what your heart and your dreams. Because life is what happens in between, right? We set course in a particular direction, and then life starts happening. And
I just feel like sometimes we're just so caught up in, we just don't want to feel like we stagnate.
Right,
that's the most horrible feeling,
exactly.
Especially if you're like somebody that's moving on. So,
and sometimes that, you know what it also means is that sometimes it's not just about the evidence of like your dreams coming true. Sometimes progress means dealing with your demons. Sometimes progress means dealing with your trauma, like attending to areas in your life where, like you've left it dormant for too long. So yeah, my definition of what progress is has evolved and changed, as I'm sure for many of you. Yeah.
Beautiful. So we're coming to the end now, but I still have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
So if you would have the chance, and this can be anybody, your imagination is like off the chain, you can think of everything. If you would have the choice to have dinner with somebody, who would this be, and what would you ask that person?
Wow. It's so tough because there are actually so many. I think no one person in the world encapsulates everything. I think we all bring like a certain shade, So, wow, that's a toughie. I would say, well, there's different reasons for people that I'd want to connect with, but yeah, he's not here with us now. But I would say, because his spirit encapsulates more than just someone who's achieved a lot. There are many people I'd love to chat about in terms of like achievement, but definitely Viktor Frankl was one of them, and in the sense of how did he have that intuition to change his mindset, like going through like such horrific loss and suffering. So I would say Viktor Frankl. Also, because I believe in like changing and adding to society, I do love. I know he's not perfect, but I wouldn't mind having dinner with Elon Musk in the sense that he's just not bound by what we think people can do. I love, specifically with him, it's like, how did he create that mindset of limitlessness where he's not bound literally by Earth?
Have
You
you,
know?
read that his biography or?
Not yet, no.
So I'm not a big reader, but I decided to do the audio version,
Yeah.
and I was quite surprised about like what he really lives his inner childhood.
Yeah.
About his mom talking about how he's really living, and he never saw any limitation as a kid. He's like, I want to go in space, and he already said it as a kid.
Wow.
And it
Yeah.
became reality.
It became a reality. So,
Yeah.
so he's a big one who's still alive today, you know, to be able to speak to. And I love that. I mean, what I think he encapsulates and what many people did, some not perfectly, like no one's going to be perfect, but there are people in society that change society.
Yes.
You know, and because they were not like bound by allowing society to say to them, who are you for thinking big? Who are you for trying to be limitless? Just shut up, stay in your lane, stay in your box. So I've always been inspired by autobiographies of people who literally affected society by being the best version of themselves. And I think even if we kind of end there with that message today, like that's a big thing for me, is that like, who are you? I don't know exactly what the quote is, I'm paraphrasing, but who are you to play small?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you not to become the best version of yourself? And I think that's what this journey in life is all about. Like, look, I stand here, I'm a freaking imperfect person. I'm very limited in who I am. But, like, I know that I'm on the journey of becoming the best version of myself. And I think if all of us do that, imagine the difference that the world would, you know, a different world we'd be in, right? Like, when you stop feeling sorry for yourself, you stop being a victim, you stop being arrogant, like living from a place of like false projection. I'm saying like really being you, really being comfortable, really knowing who you are, evolving into that best version of yourself from this place where you are right now. I mean, imagine that. Like, that's how you change the world. And you know,
and
it's
the
like
change can be for the good and for the bad.
Exactly.
Some people choose. It's a choice.
It's a choice, you know. And for me, again, it's not necessarily just about the scale of impact. Like, I love that old story, that story about the starfish, of a man on the beach, and he comes across the beach, and all these starfish, like, you know, washed up on the beach. And this man is literally going one by one, throwing a starfish here, throwing a starfish, and this guy comes and is like, dude, are you crazy? Like, what difference is it going to make? They're all going to die soon. And he says a very powerful thing. He says, well, it made a difference to that one. And that's what I believe, right? Like, for all of us, no matter what we're doing, you know, no matter what you're doing, as long as you're doing wherever you are, whoopsie, that's my alarm,
That's
look at that.
smart. He's like on
Hey.
spot.
But you know, the thing is, it's like, all of us, you and me, both, like all of us, we can make a difference where we are by being ourselves and by helping someone else. You know?
Yeah.
I think once that intention's there, it's not about like the scale. We judge and we, you know, it's about wherever you are, making the best of it. As long as it made a difference to that person, that you changed their world, you know. And I think that's what it's about, is to know who you are, have fun while you're doing it, and be open to helping other people.
That's literally already my last question, because I would like to know what advice you can give to our future kids out there, how they pursue their dreams and how they manage life. But you already gave so many amazing, like, just experiences out of your own life and this inspiration. And I know out there you guys can feel it when you watch that video, and just relating also to somebody that comes from South Africa, made all the way to Hollywood, and you always had this dream and you believe in yourself, and you just keep going, keep doing, and just know at the end everything's gonna be alright, as long as you don't suppress who you are and the feelings that you want to experience. Because once you start just being somebody else, or you just act a certain way because everybody is doing it like this, you're never gonna be fulfilled.
No, exactly, and that's exactly it. Like, I would say the biggest thing is learning to look. You first got to go on this journey of finding out who you are, but that one word, believe. You've got to believe, like exactly like that song, Journey. Don't stop believing. Exactly. I don't believe in failure. I believe in lessons. Like, the only way you can fail is literally if you stop. Literally.
No
as
risk,
if you
no
stop
fun,
it.
honey.
That's exactly it. So you got to be willing to get out there. You got to be willing to make mistakes. You got to stop being so afraid to make a mistake. Like, if you're not making mistakes, you're not living. You're not even trying. So I would definitely end up by saying, is like, the quicker you learn to believe in who you are, and the quicker you stop trying to be someone else but you start trying to be exactly who you are. And if you don't know yet, that's okay. Go and find out. Go and live. Go and walk out your front door and go and do something for someone else as a start. And it's amazing what world can open up for you. So yeah, from our side and Anna as well, like we are all part of this conversation. And for those of you who feel like quitting, do not. There is life after this struggle. Like,
absolutely.
You're not going to stay stuck.
Sometimes you're just so far away, just that little away from your big achievement, and you didn't try. You're going to blame yourself until the end of your last breath that you didn't try.
Exactly. And when you've done everything you could, trust that there's a bigger force that will guide you and lead you.
Greg, I'm so grateful that you finally had time and
I finally came back. I was like, I had too much fun in Africa.
I'm like, I was so close to interviewing through Zoom, but I'm like, nah, let's do this in person.
Exactly.
Since we already both live in that crazy town.
I'm glad we did, because otherwise I wouldn't have had this awesome coffee.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am so glad that you guys are also able to hear the story, getting inspired. For those who still didn't subscribe to the channel yet, do it now, because I'm not going to disappoint you. And when people want to find you, where they can look you up?
That's an interesting thing. My mom says the same. Where can I find you? No. It's pretty easy.
I mean, you should be able to, like your mom should be able to
She should be able to reach me.
We don't ask for your phone number.
Okay, exactly. No. I suppose I'm not like the best, but I try and be active on Instagram. I'm still learning from the maestro over here. But it is at Greg Crick. That's GregKriek. Greg Crick.
I'm going to link everything down below.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. So I'd say Instagram is a great way to connect. I'm also on Facebook, and honestly, I know a lot of people say this, but any of you who've watched this, I'd be interested to stay in touch about your journey. I think that's exactly what your show is about, and I'd love to just hear stories, like small or big, about how your journey is going and how you're winning in your own way. I love that. For me, that's the conversation.
I think a great way to do this, just put down below in the comments box what you feel about this interview, what you feel about Greg's journey, but also your own journey. How can you relate?
Exactly.
And that helps us to also create more content like this.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So good seeing you, man. Yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks for tuning in. And if you want to stay in touch with Greg, follow him on his social media. And other than that, I can't wait to see you in the next one, next Friday.
Cheers, guys. Thank
you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You've seen part 2 of this epic episode with Greg Kriek, and there's so much more to come. He traveled 44 countries, he speaks 4 languages, and is ready to take over the film industry in order to do great things for orphans. Greg, keep doing you and never stop inspiring others with your talent. Luxury Problems is so proud to have you on board. And to all the viewers, we would love to hear your story. Comment down below your experience and how you can relate to part 1 and part 2 to this episode with Greg. See you in the next one.